Groucho Marx meets some of the most interesting people you could ever hope to hear on radio in You Bet Your Life, coming up next.
Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is milk. M-I-L-K.
Really?
You bet your life. The DeSoto Plymouth Dealers of America present Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life, the comedy quiz series produced and transcribed from Hollywood. And here he is, the one, the only...
Groucho! Anybody got a dime for a cup of coffee? Oh, that's me, Groucho Marx! Thank you. Well, here I am again with $1,500 for one of our couples tonight. George Fenneman, who's first to try for it?
A couple about to be married, Groucho. They were selected by our studio audience just before we went on the air. And here they are, Miss Marie Fortin and Mr. Harry Chauzet. Meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome for the DeSoto Plymouth Dealers, youngsters. And if one of you says the secret word, he wins $100 in cash instantly. It's a common word, something you'll find around the house. Mary Fortin, is that...
Fortin.
Harry Chauzet, is that right?
Chauncey.
Chauzet. Huh? Where you from, Harry?
I'm from Salix, Iowa.
Where's that? Near? Any place?
Oh, next Sioux City.
Why did you leave your hometown, Harry?
I would have come out to the west.
Well, was it a good move when you left?
Oh, I think so. I met Marie by coming out here.
Well, answer my question. Was it a good move when you left? I made a mistake when I left my hometown. If I hadn't made the mistake, I wouldn't have had to leave. So you two are going to get hooked up, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice, huh? What kind of work do you do, Harry?
I'm a machinist in Arabian American Oil Company, Saudi Arabia.
You going over there?
Yes, we're going back over there.
How did you meet Superman here, Marie?
Well, I met him in the first grade. We went to school together.
And never had another fellow from the first grade up to now?
Oh, yes.
You just took him as a last resort, is that it? What about you, Harry? Have you had any other girls in the interim between the first grade and Arabia?
No.
That's the most lying laugh I've ever seen. Did she accept you immediately after you worked up enough courage to propose, Harry?
No, not right away.
You had to squeeze it out of her, huh? You remember the circumstances of his big love scene, Marie?
Well, he took me dancing to various places around the city. And, well, he didn't ask me to marry him. He asked me if I wanted to go to Arabia.
That's certainly a roundabout proposal if I ever heard it. Driving, I must try that sometime. Driving with a girl in the car and you say, how'd you like to go to Arabia? And what is there about Romeo that caused you to fall in love with him?
Oh, his charming personality.
Could you give us an example of your personality? Just stood and grinned at her, eh? Well, he seems like a very nice fellow, Marie. Now, what do you like about Marie, Harry?
I guess it's her sense of humor.
She has a good sense of humor? How do you know?
She always laughs at my jokes.
How do you know she's laughing at your jokes? How do you know it isn't the string on her corset that's tickling her? Does that ever occur to you, Harry?
I don't think she wears a corset.
You don't think she wears a corset? Huh? You're taking this girl all the way to Arabia and you're not sure whether she wears a corset? Well, you've aroused my curiosity. I'll never rest until I hear you tell a joke. Could you tell us a small joke?
I don't believe I know any small ones.
Well, tell us a wow, huh?
Did you ever hear the one about the fellow that played on the girls' basketball team?
Well, that's pretty good. I like that, huh? Is that the sort of thing you laugh at, Marie?
You're supposed to say, how can a fellow play on a girls' basketball team?
Oh, I see. There's more to it, huh? Okay, how can a fellow play on a girls' basketball team?
He lied about his age.
That'll certainly kill him in Arabia, then. Are you going to be the jealous type of wife, Marie?
No, I don't think so.
You won't mind if he steps out with another gal occasionally, huh?
Oh, he wouldn't do that.
Suppose you're sitting home all alone and Harry is waking late at the office. You're watching the television matches on the machine. And suddenly you see Harry in the first row at the wrestling matches with a beautiful babe. What would you do?
Well, that's impossible.
Why is it impossible?
We don't have television.
This is beginning to sound like Burns and Allen. Marie, forget the television set. Suppose Harry's waking late and you go over to the Palladium and there's Harry dancing with a pretty blonde. What would you do?
Oh, I'd walk up to him and ask him to explain.
Well, that's very logical. There's only one thing that puzzles me. What are you doing at the Palladium while he's... Well, you're both very nice kids, and inasmuch as you'll soon be married, in just 1 minute you're going to have a chance to make $1,500.
Yes, tomorrow is a great day at all DeSoto Plymouth dealers. The brilliant new DeSoto is now on display, and the great Plymouth goes on display for the first time tomorrow. The great new Plymouth is a sensational new high for value in the low-priced field. But you be the judge. Look at it. Then climb into it and get the feel of this car. Put it up hills and through traffic. Give it the toughest test you know. And as for value, you'll find this good-looking Royal riding car is packed with value and ready to prove it. Ignition key starting, improved air pillow ride, the quick, true stops of Safeguard hydraulic brakes, the lively power of the high-compression engine, and many other features exclusive with the great new Plymouth. Now, more than ever, Plymouth is the car that likes to be compared. For beautiful new styling, for roomy comfort, for easy riding and wonderful handling, for dollar value. So meet your new Plymouth, the American beauty, tomorrow at your DeSoto Plymouth dealers.
Let's see if a couple of youngsters about to be married are going to get the DeSoto Plymouth $1,500 question. Fenneman, explain the rules.
Each of our three couples has $20. They bet as much of that 20 as they want on each of 4 questions. The couple that earns the most money gets a chance at the $1,500 DeSoto Plymouth question at the end of the show. Our other 2 couples are in a waiting room off stage, so they don't know what's happening out here.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected initials of organizations as your category. Is that right? Here's your first question. You have $20. How much are you going to risk?
$5.
What educational organization do the initials PTA stand for?
Parent-Teacher Association.
That's right, Parent Teachers Association.
Well, they're on their way, Groucho. They have $25.
You're swinging along. You got $25. How much of the 25 you going to try?
10.
What government body does AEC stand for?
Atomic Energy Commission.
Well, you're just wonderful, Marie, huh?
They're climbing now, Groucho. They have $35.
Here's your third question. You got 35. How much you going to try?
15.
$15. For what informative organization do the initials INS stand for? INS. Take a stab.
I don't believe I know that.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's International News Service.
They now have $20, Groucho.
All right, you now got $20. Here's your last chance to beat the other couples. How much of the 20 you going to try now?
20.
What labor organization do the initial CIO stand for?
Congressional Industrial Organization.
That's close enough. Congress of Industrial Organizations is close enough. And they wind up with a total of $40. Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Now, don't sneak off to Arabia yet. You still might get the chance at the big question.
Groucho,
Yes, George?
the secret word is still milk. Perhaps our next couple will say it. Just before we went on the air, our studio audience selected a house mover, Mr. Ab Wilson, and his partner is a housewife, Mrs. Pat Johnson. And here they are. Folks, meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome to You Bet Your Life. And if one of you says the secret word, he wins $100 in cash instantly. It's a common word, something you'll find around the house. A house mover and a housewife, eh? Mrs. Johnson, I'll bet you're the housewife. Is that right?
That's right.
Now, where are you from, Mrs. Johnson?
I'm from Denver, Colorado.
You must be the house mover, eh?
Yeah, I'm the house mover. I'm the big boy.
Ab Wilson is.
That's right.
What does Ab stand for? Is that Abe?
Just
or-
Ab. That's Ab. You
Well, I
don't
never
have to-
heard that name. Is that a derivative of Abe or Abner or what?
Well, I guess it would be, you know. You take a house mover, the less material you have, the better off you are, you know.
What is a house mover? Do you move houses?
Yes, sir.
You move whole houses?
Whole house, yes, sir.
Where are you from, Ab?
Waxahachie, Texas.
Is that near Nacogdoches? What is the biggest hazard in your profession? Is it housemaid's knee?
Well, no. It's going up or down a hill, you know, and break loose, you know, and get away. And try
What do you
things.
do when they break loose? You stand there with your fingers in your ears and your
No.
eyes closed? What happens to the occupants when you move a house? Do they just pitch a tent by the side of the road and
Well, no,
until you're through?
No, they can live right on in the house.
Suppose they're moving in a house and the husband is still in the bathtub.
Well, take him right along. You don't spill no water.
He might step right out of the tub into the lobby of the Biltmore Hotel. How long have you been moving houses?
About 40 years.
Can you move any building?
Yes, sir.
Could you move the Empire State
Well,
Building in Chicago?
I could if it wasn't for the wind.
You could move the Empire State Building in Chicago?
If it wasn't for the wind, yes.
Wouldn't be easy, you know. It's in New York, the building.
It does make it be a little windy.
Well, I suppose many unusual things happen to you in your business.
Oh, yes.
Could
yes.
you remember any outstanding experience that you
Well-
care to relate?
No more than I got moved the wrong house on the right house on the wrong lot, you know.
What was that?
I could move the house on the wrong lot. Not exactly the wrong lot. I just got the wrong house on the right house on the wrong lot. See?
What do you mean? You moved the lot over to the wrong house?
I did it to the wrong lot. Then I had to get it off before the man caught me, you know.
Well, let's start over again, huh?
Okay.
Could you move the Empire State Building in Chicago?
I could if it wasn't for the wind.
Even though it's in Cleveland?
What's the difference?
Well, thanks to you, Ab, I know all about house moving. Now,
Okay,
you two are
thank
going to
you.
get a chance to play You Bet Your Life for $1,500. You run your $20 into more than the other couples, and you get a chance at the big DeSoto Plymouth question later. Fenneman's offstage to remind our listeners how much the first couple won.
The couple about to be married won $40.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected famous dogs as your category. Is that right? Now, here's your first question. You have $20. How much do you want to bet? And talk right up.
$10.
Okay. What's the name of the famous collie dog that stars in motion pictures?
Let's see. Scotty.
Is that... Oh, I'm sorry. The answer is Lassie.
They now have $10.
How much of the $10 will you try?
5.
What's the name of Blondie and Dagwood's dog? Well, I'm sorry. It's
Well,
Daisy.
I wanted nursery rhymes, but
Oh.
that had already been taken.
Oh, I see. Well, that's a shame.
They now have $5, Groucho.
Well, you've only got $5, and here's your third question. How much of the 5 will you try?
3.
What's the name of Mickey Mouse's dog?
Do you know?
Don't they have any dogs in Denver? The dog's name is Pluto.
They now have $2, Groucho.
Well, now you're only down to $2. How much of the $2 you going to try?
$1, I guess.
$1. All right. What's the name of the late President Roosevelt's late President Roosevelt's little Scotty? Now, that's been in the papers for a long time. Well, I'm sorry. It's Falla. I'm going to give you one more chance to make some money. It's not going to be so easy, so think hard now, and no help, please. Who is buried in Grant's tomb?
Grant.
General Grant is right. Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Now, it won't be long before we know who's going to earn the chance at the $1,500 DeSoto Plymouth question. George, who's leading at this point?
The young couple are ahead with $40, and the secret word is still milk. Just before we went on the air, we went looking through our studio audience for the parents of the most children. And here come the mother and the father who were chosen. Mr. and Mrs. Marion D. Story meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome, youngsters, for the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. And if you say the secret word, you win $100 in cash instantly. It's a common word, something you'll find around the house. Mr. and Mrs. Marion D. Story. Marion? Which one of you is Marion?
I am.
I thought you were already married. Well, that was a whirlwind courtship. Mrs. Story, your first name is Charlotte, is that right?
That's right.
Charlotte, huh? Where are you from, Charlotte?
Bakersfield, California, about 100 miles north from here.
Marion, what do you do for a living?
I'm a sign painter.
Sign painter, huh? How'd you meet Indian Sign here, Charlotte?
Oh, I met him on a boat, and it was raining real hard this night, and he said, "Would you share your umbrella with me?" And I said, "Sure." And so...
That's a pretty corny approach there, Marion.
It worked.
How long have you kids been married?
28 years.
Well, you're a fine-looking couple. Now, Mr. Story, according to Fenneman, you two are up here because you're the parents of the largest family. Is that correct?
I guess I am. Yes, it is.
You mean you only guess you have a large family?
No.
Haven't you counted the livestock lately?
There's no question about the family.
It's just a question why you're up here, huh? Mr. Story, how many times have you been a mother?
20 times.
Is this really true? 20 children, Marion?
That is true, 20.
Just what she said. Yeah. Apparently nothing's happened in the last few seconds, anyway. Well, Mr. Story, my hat, if it was on, would now be off to you. You're a remarkable woman, huh? Tell me, Popsicle, when you see a lot of kids around your house, how do you know if they're all yours?
I remember faces.
You never forget a face, eh? Could you give us the names? Could you reel them off for me?
Well, I'll start with the twins. There's Jean and Jane and Jimmy and Jeanette and Gary and Sherry and Eileen and Arlene. That's twins, 4 sets of twins. Mm-hmm. There's 2 sets of girl twins, and there's 2 sets of mixed twins.
Mixed twins, huh?
Oh, and the others all goes by the name of Jean and Jane and Jack and Jacqueline and June and so on and so forth.
How old are the children, Mrs. Story?
Well, the oldest is from 27 to 3 years old.
Mm. Have you ever thought of adopting any children?
No, it never occurred to me.
Tell me, Pop, with each new kid, do you go around passing out cigars?
Well, I used to. I stopped at about a dozen.
What do you pass out yourself now, is that it? Well, tell me, Pop. Pop, that's the understatement of the year. Paul Bunyan, if you can't remember all the names, how do you know who to call when you want something?
Well, if I want one of the boys, I just say, "Son."
Aren't you afraid of getting trampled in the rush?
I know.
Now, what kind of living quarters do you have? The Hotel Bakersfield?
No, we have 2 acres. We have a 10-room house and 2 showers and a bath.
And do you have a cop in the hallway directing traffic? Well, with all these income tax deductions, how do you make out around March 15th, Pop?
Well, I haven't paid income tax for years.
You wouldn't want to loan me about 8 kids, huh? How do you manage to feed 20 kids? Do you do it in shifts?
Well, that's easy. I have a budget, and I buy everything wholesale, and I start breakfast at 5 o'clock in the morning. I get all the working ones off to work, and then I've got 10 to get off for school, and I got some home, and I finally get through about 7 o'clock at night, and then...
What's your grocery bill amount to every week, Charlotte? That's not too personal a question.
Well, it runs to $100 a week. And
suppose the family's having lunch on Sunday. What would you ordinarily find on the table?
Well,
besides a few of the children, huh?
The children are all there. Well, I'll take Thanksgiving Day. Well, we had 2 30-pound turkeys, and we had 20 pounds of roast chicken, and we had a gallon of mashed potatoes, and 14 pumpkin pies, and 8 mince pies, and 6 cranberry pies, and gallons of salads, and...
And what do you use for toothpicks, a redwood log? Marion, tell me, as the father of 20 kids, have you had any unusual or unforgettable experience?
I've had lots of unusual experiences. We were living in Sacramento, and coming into the hospital, we had to borrow our neighbor's car because ours was broken down.
Should have had a DeSoto.
Well, anyway, we came to the American River Bridge, and we got to the first approach. Well, Mama says, "Take it easy, Pop." So we had the car stopped, and one baby was born. And I said, "Well, go ahead now. We get to the hospital fast." So the driver got in. We started, and we got to the other end of the bridge. Mama says, "Take it easy, Pop."
That's why they call them suspension bridges.
I'll detour bridges hereafter.
What about you, Mrs. Story? Have you had an unusual experience?
Well, when Jerry was born...
What number was he, do you know?
Oh, he was number 12.
Number 12.
I remember that very clearly. I got out of the hospital, and I went home. Well, there was 11 down with the whooping cough and measles. So...
You never realized that night when you were on the bay and it was raining and you had the umbrella that all this was going to happen.
Oh, no.
Well, that'll teach you, Mrs. Story. Never carry an umbrella when it's raining. Well, it's really been inspiring having you two here tonight. And, Mrs. Story, you have every right to be the proudest mother in the country. Now, you're going to play the DeSoto Plymouth game, you bet your life. If you beat our other two couples, you'll get a crack at the $1,500 question. I can't tell you how much they won, but George is off stage to remind our listeners.
The young engaged couple is still ahead with $40.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected nursery rhymes as your category. Is that right? And that's a subject you ought to know a great deal about. You have $20, and how much you going to try?
10.
Who called for his fiddlers 3?
Old King Cole.
Old King Cole is right.
And they're on their way, Groucho, with $30.
All right, you got $30. Remember, you're going for $1,500 tonight. How much of the 30 you going to try?
25.
25. Who was asleep under the haystack when he should have been tending sheep? Come on now. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a shame, but it was Little Boy Blue. Very easy to get confused on that.
They now have $5.
Oh, you're all the way down to $5. All right, now. Here's your third question. You got $5, and how much you going to bet?
$5.
Who picked a peck of pickled pepper?
Peter Piper.
Peter Piper is right.
On the way again, they have $10.
All right, now you got $10. Here's your last chance to beat the other couples. How much of the 10 you going to bet?
All of it.
All right, who fell down the hill and broke his crown?
Jack.
Jack is right.
And they wind up with $20. And that means the young engaged couple gets the chance at the DeSoto Plymouth $1,500 question. You've got to see it to believe it. You've got to drive it to appreciate it. Yes, that's the new Plymouth. The great new Plymouth that's packed with value and ready to prove it. Prove this to yourself tomorrow at your DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Let your dealer arrange a demonstration drive. Then compare. Compare the value in this great new car with that in other leading low-priced cars. Compare the new beauty and style, the easy riding and wonderful handling, the great engineering that makes it the low-priced car most like high-priced cars. Check the prompt convenience of Plymouth's ignition key starting, the flashing getaway power of the high-compression engine, the soft velvet stops of Safeguard hydraulic brakes, the protection of safety rim wheels, and many other exclusive Plymouth features. Yes, check and compare. For beauty, for power, for room, for riding comfort. Plymouth, now more than ever, the car that likes to be compared. See this great new Plymouth, the American beauty, at your DeSoto Plymouth dealers tomorrow. And while you're there, don't miss seeing the brilliant new DeSoto as well. A car that's truly new, with new features from bumper to bumper. The finest car that has ever borne the name DeSoto. Learn why your DeSoto Plymouth dealer is so proud of the two superb cars he has on display. The great new Plymouth and the brilliant new DeSoto. And here's the young couple all ready for the DeSoto Plymouth $1,500 question, Groucho.
All right, here we go for $1,500. Ready? I'll give you 15 seconds to decide on one single answer between you, so think carefully and please, no assistance from the audience. Here it is. Frederick Augustus Bartholdi was a famous French sculptor. His best-known work is well known to all of us. What is Bartholdi's great work?
Statue of Liberty?
Statue of Liberty is right. That's right. You win $1,500. You had the right answer. What are you going to do with all that money?
I'm going to give it all to Marie.
And what are you going to do with it, Marie?
I'll take care of it.
Oh. Congratulations from the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast.
You Bet Your Life is a John Goodell production, transcribed from Hollywood, directed by Bob Dwan and Bernie Smith, music by Jerry Fielding. Be sure to tune in again next Wednesday night at this time for the Groucho Marx Show, You Bet Your Life, presented by the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers of America. And remember, all dealers who sell DeSoto also sell Plymouth. Two great cars, both products of the Chrysler Corporation. And don't forget, next week's big question will be worth $1,000.
Well, it's almost time for the Bing Crosby Show, and tonight I understand his guest star will be that incomparable comedian of You Bet Your Life. Hey, that's me, Groucho Marx. See you again in a few minutes, folks, and remember... just be sure to see your DeSoto Plymouth dealer.
Here's a tip from the National Safety Council. When you're in your car, be a wise driver, not a wise guy. This is George Fenneman signing off for the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast.
Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is Sky. S-K-Y.
Really?
You Bet Your Life. The DeSoto Plymouth Dealers of America present Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life, the comedy quiz series produced and transcribed from Hollywood. And here he is, the one, the only...
I wonder whatever happened to that red-headed girl. Oh, that's me, Groucho Marx. Thank you. Well, here I am again with $1,500 for one of our couples tonight. George Fenneman is first to try for it.
Just before we went on the air, we asked if there were any young people present who'd like to get married someday. Now, our studio audience selected Miss Frankie Costelletto and policeman Bob Selman. And here they are. Folks, meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome, kids, for the DeSoto Plymouth Dealers. And if one of you says the secret word, he wins $100 in cash. It's a common word, something you see every day. Miss Castelletto?
That's right.
Frank? I'll call you Frankie, huh?
Yes?
Where you from, Frankie?
I was born somewhere on Brooklyn Avenue here in Los Angeles.
What do you mean you were born somewhere along Brooklyn Avenue?
Well, we were going to the hospital, and I know that on my birth certificate it just says Brooklyn Avenue.
Do you root for the Dodgers? How old are you, Frankie?
25.
Very young-looking girl for 25. And you're a policeman?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Selman, Bob Selman.
Yes, sir.
How old are you?
I'm 27, Groucho.
Mm-hmm. Where are you from?
I was born on Lake Superior, in Duluth, Minnesota.
You were born on Lake Superior?
Yes, sir. I was born on the lake.
What are you, a whitefish? What do you mean you were born on Lake Superior?
Well, I was born on Lake Superior. My folks were on a fishing trip, and...
Did your old man go on fishing while this was And what do you do for a living?
I'm a librarian.
What kind of a librarian are you?
Public librarian.
Now, what's the difference between a public library and a private library?
Well,
I have a library at home.
well, when we
I don't have any books in it, but good place to hide booze. And...
Well, when we think of a private library...
Do you think very often of a private library?
Well, private libraries are usually corporation libraries. They have sort of a restricted clientele, but we like to see everybody at the public library.
I always think of a private library, you know. I always think of a kind of an elderly man in a smoking jacket sitting there with a knife in his back. And, usually around midnight. They never read, those fellas. They're always sitting there with knives in their back. You're not married, huh?
No, I'm not married.
Bob, why aren't you married?
Not on my salary, Groucho.
Would you like to get married, Bob?
Someday I plan to, yes, sir.
When?
Well, as soon as I can afford it.
You mean you're going to stay a bachelor all your life? Have you ever thought of including Frankie here in your plans?
Well, I just met her, Groucho.
Well, you're a cop, aren't you? Wait till she breaks the law and then pinch her. Huh? And Miss Castelletto will tell you a thing or two. You're still a policeman, aren't you, Bob?
Yes, sir.
What kind of a cop are you?
I'm a probationary officer.
You're on probation? Why is that?
Well, you're on your probation, Groucho, until you've proven yourself to your superior officers.
You're under constant observation?
Yes, sir. I'm under constant observation.
Mm-hmm. You mean you cracked?
No, sir. I have to prove myself first.
You have to watch yourself every minute, huh?
Watch myself every minute.
And while you're admiring yourself in the clothing store, across the street, the crooks are robbing the bank, I suppose. Miss Castelletto, what do you think of a man who's half cracked, under observation, and goes around pinching people?
I think he's cute.
I may be wrong, Bob, but it seems to me that you're more than casually interested in Frankie here. Why don't you ask her phone number? Go ahead. Don't be bashful.
I already have it, Groucho.
See, Frankie, the long arm of the law is slipping around your waist already. Frankie, truly, does he really have your phone number?
Yes, Groucho.
Why'd you give it to him, huh?
I don't know. He asked me. I'm used to answering questions.
The training these young policemen get nowadays. Remember, she's a librarian there now, Bob.
Yes,
She
sir.
can read you like a book. Well, I've kidded our policeman tonight, but he knows I didn't mean a word of it. I'm sure we've become old and trusted friends, Bob.
Yes, sir.
And eventually we'll spend a lot of time together. Now, in just 1 minute, the two of you will play You Bet Your Life for the DeSoto Plymouth $1,500 question.
Drive a DeSoto before you decide. All across the country, prospective car owners are doing just that. They're thrilling to the beauty and performance of this new DeSoto. For here is a car with not just a few new features, but one that is really a new model from bumper to bumper. Start at the front of this car and feast your eyes on DeSoto's brand new full-width front grille. A beautiful grille that gives the car a look of power its high-compression engine so justly deserves. Look at those newly styled rear fenders and see how they add sweep and grace to the entire appearance of the car. Look through that rear window, which is larger and also has been lowered to make the visibility far better. And then take this new DeSoto out on the road. Remember, it's the car that lets you drive without shifting. Note its bigger brakes that stop you with far less effort. Feel how easy it is to drive and to steer. Yes, drive a DeSoto before you decide. Tomorrow, see the all-new DeSoto at your authorized DeSoto Plymouth dealers.
Now let's see if a policeman and a librarian will get the chance at the $1,500. Fenneman, bring them up to date on the rules.
Each of our three couples has $20. They bet as much of that $20 as they want in each of 4 questions. The couple that earns the most money gets a chance at the DeSoto Plymouth $1,500 question at the end of the show. Our other 2 couples are in a waiting room off stage, so they don't know what's happening out here.
You're nothing on me, Fenneman. I don't know what's going on out here either. Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected stars in current movies as your category. Is that right? Here's your first question. You have $20. How much are you going to try?
10.
Who plays opposite Rhonda Fleming in The Great Lover?
Bob Hope.
Bob Hope is correct.
And they're off to a good start with $30.
Now you got $30. How much are you going to try?
10.
Talk
20.
Remember, you're going for $1,500 tonight. Who is the star of 12 O'Clock High?
Gregory Peck.
Gregory Peck is right.
They're on their way now. They have $50.
Here's your third question. You got 50. How much are you going to try the 50?
$30.
Who plays opposite George Brent and Robert Young in Bride for Sale?
Claudette Colbert.
Claudette Colbert is right.
They're really on their way now. They have $80, Groucho.
How much of the 80 will you try?
20 enough?
No, way up.
80.
All of it?
Okay. Who co-stars with Wanda Hendricks and Orson Welles in Prince of Foxes?
Tyrone Power.
Tyrone Power is right.
And they wind up with $160.
Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealer. Stick around now. You still might get the chance at the big question.
Groucho, the secret word is still Sky. Perhaps our next couple will say it.
Well, who is next?
A television expert and a housewife, selected by our studio audience just before we went on the air. And here they come. Mrs. Olive Rusuck and Mr. Clifford Wong meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome, folks, for the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. And if one of you says the secret word, he wins $100 in cash. It's a common word, something you see every day. Mrs. Oliver Rusuck, is that right?
Russick.
Russick. I see. Where are you from?
I'm from Rock Island, Illinois.
And you, Mr. Wong? You're in television?
That's right.
It isn't often we have people from show business here. What shows are you on, Mr. Wong?
I'm not on any show.
Oh, out of work, eh? What was your last television job?
Well, I repaired a console set today, this afternoon.
Let me get this straight. You fix television sets?
That's right.
Well, what makes television work?
Well, both the sync pulses and the blanking pulses were transmitted by the transmitting station. It's transmitted on the horizontal polarized plane, and it's received by the receiver. And it's detected at the...
Well, I think the secret of television is pretty safe with you. Mrs. Russick, let's forget the whole thing. What does your husband do, Mrs. Russick?
He's an ex-musician.
An ex-musician?
Mm-hmm.
We've got 15 of them back here.
Be a good place for him to join, wouldn't it?
What do you mean he's an ex-musician? Does he make a living not playing an instrument?
Yes.
What does he do now?
He's working for the school board now.
Does he play xylophone or anything?
Oh, no. Once in a while.
What did he play before?
He played a banjo.
And
Once
did he
in a while,
woo you
someone-
with the banjo?
Uh-huh.
How?
Well, and that isn't how I met him. My father lived on a farm, and I was visiting him, and I wanted to learn how to drive the car, but he didn't want to teach me, so he was taking a nap, and that afternoon, he was going to have this young lad come and help him with the haying. And
This is the Eddie Peabody character.
Yes. So when he came and my father was asleep, he decided he might as well take a nap, too, so he crawled up on the haystack. And so I was out driving the car around in the hayfield, because that way I wouldn't hit anybody or anything, and so I run it into the haystack. And I bounced him out, and he landed on the hood of the car in front of the windshield. And that's how I met him.
Did he have his banjo with him at the time? Now, Clifford Wong, I'll just call you Static, huh? Tell me, as a television repairman, just what do you do?
Repair television sets.
Who do you work for, Mr. Wong?
Muntz Television.
Well, if you had to do it over again, would you go into the television business, Mr. Wong?
Well, yes, I think I will, but only on your side of the business is where there's money involved.
You want to be where I am, where the money is that it? All right, you asked for it. Go ahead. This is your program, huh? You're the comedian. I'm the contestant. Go ahead. Interview me now. Think this is such a soft racket? You try it for a while.
All right, what's your name?
Puddin' Tame. Ask me again, and I'll tell you the same.
Well, what do you do for
How do you
a
like
living?
it? Go ahead. Ask me another question.
What do you usually do for a living?
I'm in television. I fix television sets. Now, since you're me, go ahead. Tell a joke, huh?
Well, I tell you, something funny happened to me on the way to the studio tonight.
Well, there's going to be a lot of radios going to need fixing after this.
Well,
Go ahead. Shoot, Mr. Wong.
Well, on my way to the studio tonight, a man stopped me. He says, could you let me have 30 cents so I could be with my family? Feeling sorry for the man, I handed him 30 cents. I said, where is your family? This is the answer he gave me, in the movies.
How old a man was he? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
What was the movie? Do you remember that?
You didn't tell me.
Now, you were going to tell us a joke. Go ahead with the joke. Huh?
That is
That's the joke? Okay, have it your own way. Huh? What do you do for a living?
I repair television sets.
Well, stick to it. That's where the big money is. Huh? Well, after talking to you two, I'm convinced television is still around the corner. Now, let's see if you can run your $20 into more than the other two couples and get a crack at the DeSoto Plymouth $1,500 question later. I can't tell you how much they won, but George Fenneman is off stage to remind our listeners.
The policeman and the librarian won $160.
Here we go. Let's see how high you can build your $20. What question category did you select?
A.
Music by Jimmy
Music.
McHugh. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And how much are you going to risk?
Shall we bet 10?
Talk right up into the
10?
microphone now,
10.
because Bing
$10.
Crosby is listening, and we don't want old Baldy to miss anything here. You're going to bet $10. Here's your
Yes.
first question. Jerry Fielding plays. You give me the name of the song. Play, Jerry.
Sunny side of the street.
On the sunny side of the street.
$30.
Okay, now you got $30. Remember, you're going for $1,500 tonight. How much of the 30 will you try?
20.
How much? $20. What is the name of this song? What is the answer you two have decided upon, huh? Take a
Something
stab
about
at
the
it.
sky, isn't it?
Riding around that haystack certainly made you lucky, Mr. Russell. You just said sky, and that's the secret word tonight, so you win $100 in cash, compliments of the DeSoto Plymouth Dealers of America. By the way, the name of that song is I Feel a Song Coming On. They have practically nothing outside of that $100.
$10, Groucho.
You've sunk down to $10, and here's your third question. How much of the 10 are you going to bet?
I will bet $5.
$5. Give me the title of this McHugh song. Okay, Jerry?
Don't blame me. Don't blame me.
$15, Groucho.
Now you're riding down the roller coaster. You got 15 smackers. Here's your last chance to beat the other couples. How much will you bet?
Let's bet it all.
Here we go. What's the name of this song?
I can't do anything but love, baby.
Love.
And they wind up with $30.
Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. All right, let's have our third couple, George, and it won't be long before we know who gets the big question. Who's ahead so far, Fenneman?
The librarian and the policeman with $160. And the secret word is still Sky. We invited some auctioneers and some square dance callers to the show tonight, and here comes the couple selected just before we went on the air. Auctioneer Ken Porter and square dance caller Irene Hanford meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome to You Bet Your Life, folks, and if one of you says the DeSoto Plymouth secret word, he wins $100 in cash instantly. It's a common word, something you see every day. We have an auctioneer and a square dance caller, eh? Miss Irene Hanford?
That's right.
You're a square dance caller, is that right?
Yes, I am.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that a kind of a peculiar occupation for a woman?
Well, it might be, but I think women can do anything men can.
You really think so, huh? I'd like to see you get into the steam room at the Elks Club. Where are you from, Irene?
Los Angeles.
And are you married?
No, I'm not. I'm a miss.
You're a miss, huh? Well, a miss is as good as a mile. I always say. No, I don't always say that. In fact, I never say that. I haven't said that in years. You're the auctioneer, Mr. Porter? Where are you from?
I'm from Champaign, Illinois.
How long have you been in California, Mr. Porter?
Well, I settled here in about 1945.
What'd you settle for? 90 cents in the... As an auctioneer, 90 cents in the dollar, I suppose. Are you married, or haven't you ever felt yourself going, gone? Huh?
Yes, I'm married.
You are married, huh? How'd you meet your wife? Did you pick her up at an auction?
When I got my discharge out of Klamath Falls, Oregon, I came down here to visit.
Out of where?
Klamath Falls, Oregon.
What were you doing up there?
I was in rehabilitation camp up there.
Oh. What do you do in a rehabilitation camp?
Well, I was a Marine Corps. They was getting me ready for the public, I guess.
What would you say is the most important qualification for an auctioneer?
Well, 95% of it is psychology, softening up the people.
Well, is that what you use the hammer for?
No, I mean, you gotta, tell jokes.
I'm still trying to recover from the last joke. Okay, let's hear one of the jokes, Just a small one now. Say about a $2 purchase, huh?
I don't mean that. I mean, you got to soften the crowd up, not with a joke, but sort of in a saying, like if they're not bidding.
That's a nice joke, I think, to tell.
Or that they
have any of them ever taken you up on that offer? How does an auction work, Mr. Porter?
Well, you bring up an article and you explain it. For instance, if you're selling a cow, a piece of furniture, diamond ring, or anything like that, you explain it. And
you have to explain a cow to the audience? How do you explain a cow? I'd like to hear that. How many bids are needed to sell an item?
2 bids, sir. 1 bid doesn't make an auction.
Well, how do you know when to stop the bidding?
Well, when they quit bidding.
This is after you tell them to lie down on the floor and drop dead, is that Where do you do your hawking or auctioneering?
Well, I auction at Auction City, and...
There is really a city called Auction City?
Yes, sir. It's the biggest one in the world.
Well, I'm kind of curious to hear you give your pitch. Suppose I got a $1,000 diamond ring here, and I want you to sell it for me. Now, you go ahead and sell it.
All right. Now, here's a very gorgeous diamond ring, ladies and gentlemen. What are you going to give for it? All right. Down to anybody bidding now. $30 now. $30 bidding now. $5 now. $35 bidding now. $40 board. Now, ladies and gentlemen...
You forgot to say drop dead, huh? I notice you raise your hand when you're doing that chanting. Why do you do that? Do you want to ask a question?
No. It helps you pick up bids.
Oh, I thought maybe then you want to go to the bedroom, eh? Well, Irene, I'm nuts about typesickery. I've never gone square dancing. Could you describe a typical dance?
Well, you want an easy one or a complicated one?
Well, say about medium, huh? Tear loose, Irene, huh?
Well, how about...
Throw your inhibitions out the window.
Well, the first and third couples lead out to the right in circle 4. And they go once around, then the working gents go home.
Did you say the working gents go home?
Yeah.
Well, and who do they dance with? You've only started, and the men leave already?
And the girls, their partners, are left on the side with the other two gents in 2 lines of 3.
Well, there's 2 gents that didn't go home, huh? They don't like it at home, huh? Well, tell me, Gallicurci, could you call a square dance?
Well, I might give you just the way one might start.
Okay.
You always start out with an element left and a grand right and left, you know. So you might start out, well, swing your honey high and low when you keep on swinging that calico. Now it's element left with the old left hand. Right to your honey, go right and left grand. A hand over hand all around that ring and a hand over hand with the dear little thing. And you beat your honey and promenade.
That's pretty good. I kind of like that, huh? Now, suppose you wanted to set up an auction across the street from a square dance. And you wanted to take that crowd away from it. Now, how about you, starting your auction, and you do your square dance, and let's see how the two... Now, 1, 2, 3, go!
All right, now, 75 bid now, $80 hard, $80 bid now.
Quiet, quiet! If anybody wants to make a phone call, this is the time to do it, right? Well, I've learned a lot about America tonight, and it won't be long before we're investigated. Now, you're going to play the DeSoto Plymouth game, you bet your life. If you beat the other couples, you'll get a crack at the $1,500 question. I can't tell you how much they won, but George is off stage to remind our listeners.
The policeman and the librarian are still ahead with $160.
Here we go. You have $20. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected famous animals as your category. Okay, how much of the 20 you're going to try, and talk right into the microphone and loud?
$10.
What animal do you associate with Lady Godiva?
Horse.
A horse is correct.
They're on their way with $30.
I'd rather associate with Lady Godiva than the horse. Okay, now you got $30. Remember, you're going for $1,500 tonight. How much of the 30 will you try?
Make it
25 is better.
25. Okay, 25.
What kind of animals do you associate with the Pied Piper?
Mice.
Rats.
They're climbing. They have $55,
Well,
Groucho.
they're both rodents, so I guess we'll give you that. How much you going to bet? You have $55.
All of it?
45.
$45. What animal do you associate with Jonah?
A whale.
The whale is right.
They're really climbing. They have $100.
Well, that was a whale of a fine answer. Now, you have $100, and here's your last chance to beat the other couples. How much of the 100 will you bet?
Oh.
You going to shoot the wakes? What animal do you associate with Romulus and Remus?
Wolf.
A wolf is right.
And they wind up with $200. And that means the auctioneer and the square dance caller get the chance at the DeSoto Plymouth $1,500 question. If you're thinking of buying a new car, remember this. Now, more than ever, the beautiful new Plymouth is the car that likes to be compared. Because the new Plymouth is the low-price car most like high-priced cars. It's packed with value and ready to prove it now at your DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Check the value in this great new car yourself, feature by feature, against that of any other leading low-priced car. Compare the convenience of the new Plymouth's ignition key starting, the soaring power of its high-compression engine, the velvety comfort of its improved air pillow ride, the quick, sure stops of its Safeguard hydraulic brakes, and many other features exclusive with the great new Plymouth. You'll discover that this beautiful new Plymouth offers you a truly sensational new high for value in the low-priced field. Tomorrow, see the American Beauty, the great new Plymouth at your DeSoto Plymouth dealers. And while you're there, don't miss the brilliant new DeSoto as well, a car that's truly new, the finest car that has ever borne the name DeSoto. Learn why your DeSoto Plymouth dealer is so proud of these two superb cars, the great new Plymouth and the brilliant new DeSoto. And here is the auctioneer and the square dance caller, the winning couple, all ready for the DeSoto Plymouth $1,500 question, Groucho.
How about it, kids? You nervous?
Slightly.
You're both professional talkers now. This is the time to talk up. All right, here we go for $1,500. I'll give you 15 seconds to decide on one single answer between you, so think carefully and please, no help from the audience. Here it is. Abraham Lincoln was our tallest president, standing 6 feet 4 in his stocking feet. For $1,500, tell me, who was our shortest president? What's the answer you two have decided upon?
Ulysses Grant?
No, I'm sorry. It was James Madison, who was 5 feet 4. So that means the big question next week will be worth $2,000. Well, you lost the big money, but you won $200 in the quiz. Congratulations, and thanks to both of you.
You Bet Your Life is a John Goodell production, transcribed from Hollywood, directed by Bob Dwan and Bernie Smith. Music by Jerry Fielding. Be sure to tune in again next Wednesday night at this time for the Groucho Marx Show, You Bet Your Life, presented by the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers of America. And remember, all dealers who sell DeSoto also sell Plymouth, two great cars, both products of the Chrysler Corporation. And don't forget, next week the big question will be worth $2,000.
Well, it's almost time for Bing Crosby, so good night, folks. And remember, just be sure to see your DeSoto Plymouth dealer.
Folks, here's a reminder. A dime seems like a lot of money to a small child, especially when that dime is part of the money you give the March of Dimes. And that child is a victim of infantile paralysis. Send all the dimes and dollars you can spare to your local March of Dimes headquarters. This is George Fenneman signing off for the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast.
Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is spoon. S-P-O-O-N.
Really?
You bet your life!
The DeSoto Plymouth Dealers of America present Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life, the comedy quiz series produced and transcribed from Hollywood. And here he is, the one, the only...
Groucho, sorry. My name's Yasamin Khan. Thank you. Well, here I am again with $1,000 for one of our couples tonight. George Fenneman, who gets first whack at it?
Just before we went on the air, our studio audience selected a bouncer from a dance hall and an accountant. And here they are, Mr. Alan Landman and bouncer Bill Graves. Meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome, gentlemen. You bet your life. And if one of you says the DeSoto Plymouth secret word, he wins $100 instantly. It's a common word, something you'll find around the house. And Mr. Bill,
Graves.
Bill Graves, huh? You're a bouncer at a dance hall?
Yes, sir.
Where you from, Bill?
I'm from within a stone's throw of the Churchill Downs in Lexington, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. And what do? You throw stones around there?
Oh, I throw stones, yes, sir.
Bookkeeper, Alan Landman?
Yes, sir.
I'll just call you Bookie, huh?
No.
You're not a bookie, huh? Well, I better call you bookkeeper. Is that right?
No, that's not right either. I'm an accountant.
You're very hard to please, aren't you? I'll call you Count. Is that all right? Or Int. How is Int, huh? Tell me, Count, what do you do as an accountant?
Oh, I make income tax returns out for people, give them general advice on their financial statements, and audit their books.
You keep books, and I'll just call you Bookie, huh? And if you get raided, don't come running to me. Where are you from, Bookie?
I was born within a stone's throw of the Fulton Fish Market in New York.
You were born near the fish market, huh?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And how long did you flounder around there before you... Al Smith was born around there, wasn't he?
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. What's the most common bookkeeping error you find in your work, Mr. Landman?
I would say transposition.
Well, you'll have to say more than that.
I mean...
That left me as cold as those stones where you were born with them.
I mean transposition of figures. That is, writing $16,489.12 as $16,498.21. Transposing the figures in sequence.
Well, I lost you a long time ago. And, Jersey Bounce, tell me, where do you work?
I work at the Roseland Roof, 833 South Spring Street.
Mm-hmm. And what is Roseland Roof?
It is the finest taxi dance hall in the United States.
I didn't know taxis could dance.
We have some two-legged taxis that dance very well, sir. Some night if you're off and you have a moment to spare...
I'm off every night, huh?
I'd like to have you come down and visit us.
Well, I'd be very happy to, huh? They strap a meter on me, I suppose? What do you do at the Roseland Roof, Mr. Graves?
I'm the manager, the elevator operator, the policeman. I'm a union man. I work 8 hours in the morning and 8 hours at night.
Did you figure that joke out on your boss's time? Or... Now tell me, Turkey Trot, how many girls work at your dance emporium? Huh?
Between 75 and 100.
Those are pretty loose figures to have on a dance floor. You handle figures too, don't you, Alan?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. The figures you handle don't lie, I take it, huh?
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
You don't have to, I just said it. Huh? Do you ever run across cases of simple fraud? What's a good way to skin a widow out of her mite, for example?
Well, you pad the figures on an expense account.
Steady now, there. Well, you're a rascal, that's what you are. You pad the widow's figures? Well, how do you catch a crook like that?
Oh, you just use your logic. For example, if a guy submitted an expense account showing that he was in the Sahara Desert and that he entertained some people at a nightclub there for $187.50,
Is there a nightclub in the Sahara Desert?
Not that I know of.
You mean this widow can only get cheated in the Sahara Desert?
She can choose her own site.
You mean it would take a lot of sand to skin her, huh? Now tell me, does anything exciting ever happen to an accountant?
Well, something exciting happened to me once. I got into an airplane conducting 5 wooden packing cases that looked as if they might have contained cans of beans, and they actually had $1 million in cold, hard American cash.
And did you have a gun with you?
Yes, I did. I was in the Army as a dispersing officer, and I had a .45 strapped to my side.
Have you ever had anything else strapped to your side?
Some mustard plaster.
Well, there's worse things than that to be stuck with, you know. Now tell me, Bouncer, in your job, does anything unusual ever happen?
Oh, not a great deal.
How much do you charge for a dance at your...
12 cents a minute.
Why are your dances only a minute long?
Well, we can give the people more for the money and give them more dancing.
That's a fairly shifty answer there.
I'm a Scotsman.
You get a faster turnover, is that
Faster turnover, is it? Yes, sir.
They must turn over like a propeller in your place. Now, do these people pop in just to dance for 1 minute? Or...
Some come in and sit around night after night, and all they do is dance the free dancers.
What night are the free dances? What do they talk about, the ones that don't dance? Have you any
They talk
notion
about general subjects, not what you think.
How do you know what I'm thinking? How many fights do you have to stop in a night on an average?
Since I've been with Roseland for the last 20 years, we've never had a fight in the place.
Now, what do they do, go out in the alley and slug each other?
I worked in a place one time where we had to close on Sundays to pump the blood out of the cellar.
You don't happen to remember what they did with the old blood, do you? Well, you two make an extremely interesting couple, and we're happy to have you with us tonight. You're both experts on figures. Now, in just 1 minute, you're going to try for the DeSoto Plymouth $1,000 question.
Just a week ago, the DeSoto Plymouth Dealers of America introduced the brilliant new DeSoto, the finest car that has ever borne the name DeSoto. It's a completely new model from bumper to bumper. From its beautiful new front grille to its wider rear end, here is the car that is styled for comfort as well as beauty. Every detail from DeSoto's rear window, which was made bigger and lower to provide greater visibility, to its smartly styled new steering wheel, from its bigger, softer pedal action brakes, to its beautiful new fenders that permit easier changing of tires, here truly is a new car in every sense of the word. A car bringing you richness of line that your family will boast of for many months to come. Economy of operation that your pocketbook will appreciate. Drive this great new DeSoto just once, and you'll thrill to it as thousands already have. Your DeSoto Plymouth dealer will arrange to have you drive it at your convenience.
Now, let's see if a bookkeeper and a bouncer will get the chance at the $1,000. Fenneman, tell them the rules of You Bet Your Life.
Each of our three couples has $20. They bet as much of that 20 as they want on each of 4 questions. The couple that earns the most money gets a chance at the DeSoto Plymouth $1,000 question at the end of the show. Our other 2 couples are in a waiting room off stage, so they don't know what's happening out here.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected famous dates in United States history as your category. Here's your first question. You have $20. How much will you bet?
$3.
No, let's make it
Here's
10.
a fellow level at a racetrack, huh?
He said make it 10.
Make it 10. Is that okay
Make
with
it
you,
10 is
Bill?
fine.
Okay. What happened on October 12th, 1492?
Columbus discovered America.
You said it right on the nose, Bill.
And we're off to a great start, Groucho, with $30.
Remember, you're going for $1,000 tonight. How much of the $30 will you bet?
20.
Not $20, no. Make it 15. Make it $20 on all right.
What happened on December 7th, 1941?
That's a Pearl Harbor.
That's right. Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor.
They're climbing. They have $50.
You're climbing. You got 50 smackers. Here's your third question. How much of the 50 are you going to go for?
Well, we take, this time we'll plunge a little. We bet $35.
So, you're going to bet $35. Okay, all right. What happened September 2nd, 1945?
Was it VJ Day? What do you
VJ
Do you
Day?
agree with that?
Yes,
You
I
agree
do.
with that? Well, that's right.
Now they have $85, Groucho.
Here's your last chance to beat the other couples. How much of the 85 will you risk?
Let's try 75.
$75.
What far-reaching event happened on October 24th, 1929?
The crash.
The crash is right.
And they wind up with a grand total of $160.
Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Now, don't run away. You still might be high tonight and get a crack at the big question.
Groucho, the secret word is still spoon.
I know that, George.
Perhaps our next couple will say it, too. Just before we went on the air, our studio audience selected a chiropodist, Dr. Theodore Dale, and his partner is a housewife, Mrs. Sue Prosen. And here they are. Folks, meet Groucho Marx.
All right, welcome, kids. Welcome to You Bet Your Life. And if one of you says the secret word, he wins $100 instantly. It's a common word, something you'll find around the house. Chiropodist and a housewife, eh? Doc Dale, is that the way?
That's correct.
What kind of a name is that? Is that Swiss?
Well, it's left over at Piccadilly.
I had some leftover Piccadilly tonight. That isn't my name. What do you mean, leftover Piccadilly? It's English?
Way back, the family's name was Piccadilly, and this was left of it.
Where you from, Doc?
Redondo Beach, California.
Mrs. Sue Prosen?
Mm-hmm.
Where you from, Sue?
Boston.
You married?
Yes.
What does your husband do for a living?
Building contractor.
How did you meet your husband?
My mother wanted to borrow a hammer.
Your mother went to borrow a hammer?
Uh-huh. And she borrowed it from a friend, and he had a son, only I didn't know he had a son.
Who had a son, the hammer?
No, it's very simple, really. The friend had a hammer.
And that's how you nailed him?
And then, yes. He came over and brought the hammer, and I wanted to get a dog. And when
What's that?
I wanted to get a dog, and when
Instead
I
of
saw
a hammer, you mean?
Well, she wanted the hammer. I didn't.
Oh.
But when I saw this guy drive up, and he didn't have a very nice car, and I thought, well, I could ask him to take me for the dog because my boyfriend had a new car, and I couldn't ask him to take me for the dog.
Why?
Because he wouldn't let a puppy in his car. Well, when we got home, the landlady met us at the apartment, and she said, you can't have a dog here.
Just a hammer, huh?
So, very simple, really. He took the dog home with him. And on the way home, he said, if you married me, you could have me and the dog. And I said, well, for the dog's sake, I'd think about it. But it took the family 2 months to arrange the wedding.
Had no place to put the dog, I suppose.
No, his mother didn't want it. But we didn't get the dog. It got lost.
Tell me, I want to ask you one question. What happened to this first Schlemiel that you were going with, huh?
Still around.
The one with this brand new car that wouldn't let any livestock in it. What happened to him, huh?
He still got the car.
Still got the car and that's
Yeah.
all, huh?
Mhm.
And you've got a hammer and a dog and a husband and huh?
No dog.
No
Just
dog.
a cat.
Now you got a cat? Kids, too?
Yes, 2 of them.
2 kids. And only 1 cat, huh? You ought to try to get another cat, huh?
That's to worry about.
Either that or do away with one of the kids. Doc, how did you meet your wife? Did you have a hammer in your hand at the time?
Oh, no, but I had a...
Was she going around with some foot pad and you rubbed her out? What happened?
Well, I was, as a student...
I'll call you Piccadilly, huh?
Piccadilly.
Piccadilly, huh? I picked a dilly one night. Well, anyway.
I was a student at the foot clinics of New York, and my wife was a patient. And she was kind of cute at the time,
She'll appreciate the way you qualified that compliment.
Well, I suggested that, being that she had so much trouble with her feet...
Did you write her any footnotes?
No. And out of that time...
Well, up to this time, you'd just seen her feet, is that right?
That's right.
Maybe that's the way it should be. Most fellas, they go around looking at a girl's face, you know. Maybe should they examine their feet, because in most cases, their feet are not made up. You know what you're getting, anyway. You two have 2 of the most romantic stories I've ever heard. A pussycat and an old car and a foot doctor. Now tell me, Hotfoot, how did you happen to become a chiropodist? Were you at the foot of your class in school, or?
Well, I started at foot and thought in this profession I might work my way up.
Mm-hmm. You were eventually going to become a dentist, is that?
Become successful.
Oh, I see. Why do so many people have foot trouble?
A lot of it's traced back to childhood, and very few parents will take the trouble to take their children to have their feet examined, and you find that 60% of children have foot trouble.
Well, what kind of feet do you treat?
Any kind.
Any kind of feet? I wish you'd come over to my house. My piano is getting pigeon-toed the legs. But what's the chief reason that people come to your office?
Their feet hurt.
Well, you ask a silly question, you get a silly answer. I knew if I talked to a chiropodist, sooner or later I'd put my foot in it. You mean people have trouble with their dogs, is that it?
That's right.
And you take care of their dogs?
I sure do.
Well, then actually you're a veterinarian, huh?
No, I'm a chiropodist.
What's the matter, Doc? Didn't you like that joke?
Oh, I thought, well, it's corny.
What was that?
Corny.
Corny joke. Well, you ought to know. You're an expert on corns. What are the most common foot ailments?
Well, the most common we'd see would be halome mole, halome durum, and hallux
Hello, my
valgus.
Molly, huh? Hello, my Molly. Hello, my daddy. Why, Joseph Howard sang that, and I wonder who's kissing her now, huh? You mean that's a foot disease? By the way, Doc, my wife's foot hurt quite a bit this morning. Could you suggest anything that might help?
Well, if you tell me where it hurts.
Well, it hurts in the seat of my pants. That's why she kicked me. I tricked you into that one. Well, you made a very interesting and instructive team, and we enjoyed having you here. Now, you're going to have a chance to make money hand over foot, Doc. You're going to play You Bet Your Life. All you got to do is run your $20 and the more than the other couples, and you get a chance at the DeSoto Plymouth $1,000 question later on. Fenneman's offstage to remind our listeners how much the first couple won.
The accountant and the ballroom bouncer won $160.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected bowl games, B-O-W-L. Now, you got $20. How much are you going to try?
10.
Talk right up into the microphones. Because over 300 people are listening here tonight. All right. In what city is the Sugar Bowl game played?
Sugar Bowl, New Orleans.
In New Orleans is right.
And they're on their way with $30, Groucho.
See how easy it is? Now you got $30. Remember, you're going for $1,000 tonight. Now, how much of the 30 are you going to risk?
20.
Where is the Orange Bowl game played?
Miami, Florida.
Miami is right.
And now they have $50.
Now you got 50. Here's your third question. How much of the 50 are you going to try?
30.
$30. In what city is the Shrine East-West game played?
San Francisco.
San Francisco is on the nose.
They're climbing now. They have $80.
All right, you're steaming right ahead now. Here's your last chance to beat the other couples. How much of the 80 are you going to risk? Talk up. Talk right up. Into the microphone.
She wants to bet 60.
She wants to bet 60. And how much do you want to bet?
I'd rather bet the whole 80.
You would, huh?
Okay.
You want to go whole hog? You're going for $80. In what island city is the Pineapple Bowl played?
And Honolulu, Hawaii.
Honolulu is right.
And they wind up with $160.
Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers. Now, pretty soon we're going to know who's going to earn the chance at the $1,000 question. George, who's ahead so far?
Well, nobody's ahead so far.
Nobody's ahead so far.
Both the first couples have $160.
You mean they're neck and neck?
They're neck and neck.
Well, let's hope they don't do any neck and neck in here, huh?
And let's not forget that the DeSoto Plymouth secret word is still spoon. Say, Groucho, we have a surprise for you. Our final couple is an Irish war bride and her husband. And here they are, Mr. and Mrs. Wysowski. Meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome for the DeSoto Plymouth dealers, youngsters. And if you say the secret word, you win $100 in cash instantly. It's a common word, something you'll find around the house. Mrs. Wysowski, you're an Irish bride?
Yes.
Wysowski, you're one of the Notre Dame Irish. Faith and Begar and Barry Fitzgerald. Sure, and it's a fine thing to be after having you here with us here tonight. Huh? How's my brogue?
Oh, they don't talk that way where I come from.
They also don't talk that way where I come from. Well, I must admit my brogue's a little rusty. Last night I had an Irish stew and somebody dropped a hot tamale in it. Joe Wysowski, huh?
That's right.
What sort of work do you do, Joe?
I'm a mechanic with Lockheed Aircraft.
Lockheed Aircraft? What part of Ireland are you from, Joe?
Kewanee.
Kewanee, Illinois?
That's correct.
And what part of Ireland are you from, Phyllis?
Belfast.
Belfast. How long since you've been in Belfast?
Like 5 years.
You have no discernible brogue at all, do you?
We don't talk the same way as they do in the South.
In the south of Ireland? How long have you been an Irish war bride, Phyllis?
Well, we were married the day after St. Patrick's Day in 1945.
Do you have any little Irish males at home?
No, I haven't.
Have you? Joe, me lad, how long have you been married?
I got married when Phyllis did.
What were you doing in Ireland?
Well, I was an aircraft mechanic for Lockheed.
In Ireland?
Yes.
When you were courting Phyllis over in Ireland, where did you take her, Joe?
Well, we went for an occasional walk, just show once in a while.
Well, now that you're an old married couple, where do you take her now for excitement?
Oh.
I think that's the look that won her, huh? That was a real Barry Fitzgerald look, wasn't it? Where do you take her now that you're married, Joe? Don't sneak out of this. I want an answer here.
Well, we still go for the occasional walk and the show once in a while.
Say, you're in a rut, aren't you? Now, before you met Joe here, how many nice Irish bucks were you engaged to, Phyllis?
None. I was too young.
In Ireland, the girls don't get engaged, I suppose, until they're around 23, 24. Huh?
That's right.
And how long do the engagements usually last?
Oh, about 3 or 4 years.
Takes 4 years for a boy and girl to get acquainted in Ireland? It's obvious they don't have drive-in theaters over there. Over here, they have 10-minute intermissions at the drive-in so the kids can get married. Have you ever kissed the Blarney Stone, Phyllis?
No, that's in the South.
Well, since you never kissed the Blarney Stone, would you tell me how old you are?
27.
Are you sure you haven't kissed the Blarney Stone? How old are you, Joe?
I'm 35.
Phyllis, how old do you think I am? And no flattery now.
Oh, I'd say about 40.
Are you sure there's no Blarney Stone in the north of Ireland? If you were a pinball machine right now, you'd light up and say tilt. Joe, you look a little more practical. How old do you think I am?
Oh, I'd say you're going on 50.
No, I'm going on penicillin. I grow my own, too. I scrape it off old moldy jokes. Well, you each made a pretty close guess, 40 and 50. That's 90. That's about right. Well, this has been inspiring having you here tonight, Aaron Gobra, as we Celts always say. Now, you're going to play the DeSoto Plymouth game, you bet your life. If you beat our other two couples, you'll get a crack at the $1,000 question. I can't tell you how much they won, but George is off stage to remind our listeners.
The first two couples are tied with $160 each.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected capitals of states as your category. Is that correct? All right, you've got $20. How much you going to try?
10.
What is the capital city of Colorado?
Denver.
Denver is correct.
And they're on their way with $30, Groucho.
Remember, you're going for $1,000 tonight. How much of the 30 are you going to try? Talk right up, Joe.
20.
$20. What is the capital city of Nebraska?
Lincoln.
Lincoln is correct.
They're climbing. They have $50.
All right, you got $50. Here's your third question. How much of the 50 are you going to risk?
40.
$40. What is the capital city of Virginia?
Richmond.
Richmond is right.
They're really on their way now. They have $90.
Well, you're zooming along. You got $90. How much you going to try?
We'll try 80.
You're going to try $80. What is the capital city of New York?
Albany.
Albany is right.
And they wind up with $170. And that means that the Irish couple get the chance at the DeSoto Plymouth $1,000 question. It's new. It's beautifully new. It's packed with value and ready to prove it. Yes, that's the beautiful new Plymouth. Now, more than ever, the car that likes to be compared. Drive it. Give it the toughest test you can think of, uphill and through traffic. Let your DeSoto Plymouth dealer arrange a demonstration ride tomorrow. Then compare. Compare the value in this beautifully new Plymouth with that in other leading low-priced cars. Check the convenience of Plymouth's ignition key starting, the lively power of the high-compression engine, the soft velvet stops of Safeguard hydraulic brakes, the protection of safety rim wheels, and many other exclusive Plymouth features. Yes, check and compare. For beauty, for room, for riding comfort. Now, more than ever, the new Plymouth is the car that likes to be compared. The car that's packed with value and ready to prove it. This beautiful new Plymouth, the American Beauty, is on display at all authorized DeSoto Plymouth dealers. And here's the Irish war bride and her husband, all ready for the DeSoto Plymouth $1,000 question, Groucho.
All right, here we go for $1,000. Ready? I'll give you 15 seconds to decide on one single answer between you, so think carefully and please, no help from the audience. Here it is. The Star-Spangled Banner was written in 1814 and became our official national anthem in 1931. Before the Star-Spangled Banner was written, what song was considered the national anthem of the United States? Okay, what's the answer you two have decided upon?
I'm afraid I can't answer it.
I'm sorry. The correct answer is Hail Columbia. So that means the big question next week will be worth $1,500. Well, you lost the big money, but you won $170 in the quiz. Congratulations and thanks to both of you.
You Bet Your Life is a John Goodell production, transcribed from Hollywood, directed by Bob Dwan and Bernie Smith. Music by Jerry Fielding. Be sure to tune in again next Wednesday night at this time for the Groucho Marx Show, You Bet Your Life. Presented by the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers of America. And remember, all dealers who sell DeSoto also sell Plymouth. Two great cars, both products of the Chrysler Corporation. And don't forget, next week's big question will be worth $1,500.
Well, it's time for Bing Crosby, so good night, folks. And remember, just be sure to see your DeSoto Plymouth dealer.
Here's a tip from the National Safety Council. It's good to be on time, but it's better to be safe. This is George Fenneman signing off for the more than 3,000 DeSoto Plymouth dealers from coast to coast.
Well, this concludes another stream. I want to thank you all for listening with me, and I hope you enjoyed these shows that represent, in my opinion, some of the best of old-time radio. Join me again tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.